Good evening, welcome. It's 7:33, we're 3 minutes fashionably late, so perfect timing. Welcome. Today is Tuesday, October the 8th, 2024. I am Penny Park, treasurer of the Royal Asiatic Society Korea. Thank you for joining us. And we welcome friends and members who are attending in person here in Seoul and those joining us on Zoom. I express RAS Korea's sincere gratitude to the Asia Development Foundation for its continued financial support. And we also want to thank our member, Ms. Lee Jung-ho from TCS Tour Lab for helping us with the venue for this lecture. You're cordially reminded that the lecture content does not necessarily reflect the opinions or positions of the Royal Asiatic Society Korea. Now that with the fine print out of the way, we are starting our lecture number 1520.
Wow.
I was planning on introducing our speaker, Colm Flanagan, but we have a better idea. Royce In, one of his students, who also won the English contest award last year, if you remember the garden party at the British Ambassador's residence. Our essay contest? Yes, essay contest. He's one of the recipients. And he is going to do the introduction to his teacher. So the stage is yours.
Woo!
Good evening. My name is Royce, and I'm the current vice president of the Humanities Honor Society of Seoul Foreign School. As a student who has been a part of this incredible community for over 6 years now, I've had the opportunity to witness firsthand how the impact this school has had on the students and myself included. From its strong academic foundation to its unwavering commitment to building character and serving others, SFS has shaped not only my education, but also my values. Much of this can be attributed to the visionary leadership of today's speaker. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Colm Flanagan, the head of Seoul Foreign School, who has devoted over 30 years of his life to the field of education. Now in his 11th year as the head of Korea's oldest international school, he has driven significant change and has worked tirelessly to uphold SFS's commitment to educational excellence and building character. But Mr. Flanagan's leadership goes beyond academics. He has been instrumental in strengthening the school's commitment to service, helping SFS establish deeper connections with both local and international charities, and staying true to its mission of service to others. In recognition of his outstanding contributions, Mr. Flanagan was recognized as an honorary citizen of Seoul in 2019 and awarded to British Empire in 2022 for his dedication to community service here in Korea. Today, he will share with us the rich history of Seoul Foreign School, an institution that has played a vital role in education in Korea for over a century. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Wilfrid.
Good man. Can I start by just saying I didn't make him say any of that? Okay. But I'll move over here. I do need to say thank you, Royce, because again, we didn't arrange for Royce to be here. Royce spotted the advert for this, got on top of it, contacted us and said he'd like himself and his friends to be part of this. And I think that just talks to the sort of kids we've got at Seoul Foreign School. So I'm super proud of all of our kids, but particularly proud today of these four over here. Now, I've got to say, look, I'm a little bit intimidated, really, because I swan around, talking about the Seoul Foreign School been around for 112 years. But of course, you guys have been around here for 120 years, which is incredible. And in Peter Underwood's case, he's actually part of it still 120 years. So thank you, Peter. Anyway, I am going to give a lecture, but I do want to give you a sense of the real me rather than the actual the formal me that Royce has talked about. So I'll start with the presentation. Okay, I'm going to talk about my two favorite subjects, me and Seoul Foreign School. And we're going to start with me. Okay, so here we go. And I do have to start with a bit of a warning. There is a risk. And the risk is that you may not understand everything that I'm saying, okay? You see, I'm not actually a very natural public speaker, but I also need you to know it's not entirely my fault. I come from a town called Wolverhampton. I'm going to move around. I can't stand it. I have Wolverhampton, which is here. That's my football team. All cheer. Hey. Okay. This is the one bit of beauty in Wolverhampton, right? It's actually a statue of Prince Albert on a horse, or in Wolverhampton they call it the Man on the Oz. So that's that. But actually, Wolverhampton looks a little bit more like that. Actually, that's not too far down the road from where I live. Actually, that's actually a garden beauty in Wolverhampton. Is the truth. But the truth is that I will just, in fact, let me just skip back a little bit here. Is that I'll just give you an outline of where I've taught. So my first bits of education were teaching in inner city London, in Wandsworth and in Brixton, and they were formative years for me, because in downtown in the city of London, it is a tough place to learn how to teach. You know, sometimes some of our kids the only structure they had in their lives was going to school. And it was great for me, because it meant that I felt like I was really genuinely contributing. But perhaps more importantly, from my perspective, was it helped me be a half decent teacher. Let me tell you, I started off, it wasn't good, but I learned quick. Then I moved to North Yorkshire, and then my first headship was in York in 2001, before moving to Santiago de Chile in 2010, and then finally, you probably recognise that's Seoul, and it's incredible city, and that was in 2014. So I've been here this is my 11th year at the school. I'm ashamed to say my Korean is still terrible. Hangul malmalao is okay. Okay, but let's talk a little bit about Seoul Foreign School. And I just need to warn you, I'm not an expert in the history of Seoul Foreign School. The beauty of this is there's people in this room who know more about it than absolutely I do. But what I am is an absolute shameless plug for our school, because having been here for 10 years, I feel very much part of this community, and I love what we do. I love the project. I love the absolute opportunity that I've been given, and we're going to talk about some of the important people that were actually central to Seoul Foreign School development over the years, and just the fact that I'm part of that is I still have to pinch myself. And when we talk a little bit about, as we go through this, you'll see some people who are just so instrumental and so important, not just to Seoul Foreign School, but also to the connection between the West and Korea. So Seoul Foreign School, this just gives you a little indication of the sort of things that go on these days. It's home to nearly 1,600 students from over 50 different countries. And our campus, could I just take it, has anybody been to Seoul Foreign School? Could you just have a raise of hands if you've actually been to Seoul Foreign School? What can I say to you, if you haven't been, please come and see us. Just send us an email, and I'll be more than happy to show you around, because we're very, very proud of our campus. But more importantly, the students that are within it. So please take that as an absolute invite. But we offer opportunities that really students around the world could only dream of. And it's part of that is down to our incredible facilities. Our students are not just learners, they're musicians, they're scientists, performers, actors. They do robotics, builders, poets, soccer players, swimmers, and so much more. And all of this is possible because of the 112-year legacy that's continuous reflection, and above all, our shared passion for educating young minds. And that's why it's an absolute honour to be talking to you today. And it genuinely is an honour, because, as I say, there's people as part of our community who are part of the Royal Asiatic Society of Korea, and we'll touch upon that as we work our way through. Okay, I'm going to share with you now our mission statement, and it's a little bit of an unusual mission statement in its first line. it says Seoul Foreign School centered in Christ. And the school was set up by missionaries, and we'll talk a little bit about that, you know, over 112 years ago. And it's really important to understand that although it was set up by missionaries, it was set up as a community school. The expat community of the day were all missionaries, but it was to serve those people. So it's a community school first, and that had its religious element as part of who all they were, because everybody was a missionary at that time. And that's fed through into today. And can I say, it's something that I really try and share with anybody who gets to know a little bit about Seoul Foreign School, which is Seoul Foreign School is not about proselytizing. It's not about converting. It's about providing an amazing education, the best we can do, but have our Christian faith as a wellspring to draw upon, so that we can really inspire the students around us. But we want to inspire passion for learning. We want to pursue academic and creative excellence. And we're also dedicated to the service of others. And I would like to share with you that one of the things that we've been doing a lot of over the last 10, 11 years is making sure that service is something that happens in and around Seoul. We did a lot of service in different parts of the region, but not so much in Seoul. And we wanted to be a school that if we disappeared tomorrow, people would miss us. That's what we wanted. And we've connected with a number of different organizations that hopefully feel that we're part of supporting them and them supporting us in their mission. So let's get on to the actual historical piece, because I know that's what you're here to hear about. And as I say, there's people in here who've got a much deeper understanding of the history of Seoul Foreign School, and actually part of Seoul Foreign School way longer than myself. So SFS opened its doors officially in 1912. But actually the story of SFS really started 30 years prior in 1882 with the signature of the Joseon United States Treaty, which officially marked the opening of Korea to the West. And here's a few pictures of just get a sense of what Korea was like in those days. And one family was instrumental to the shaping of modern Korea, as well as the establishment of Seoul Foreign School. The Underwoods. Easy, Peter, easy. But it is true. And actually, it is one of the reasons that I get a little intimidated, because I've taken on a role that members of the Underwood, a particular member of the Underwood family, really made his own. And so just to be part of that is something that I truly treasure. But the Underwood family and SFS have shared a history, and to this day is part of the governance structure of our school. You might be familiar with Horace Grant Underwood. In fact, Horace Grant Underwood was directly involved in the Royal Asiatic Society of Korea, who first set foot in Korea in 1885 and later founded what would become Yonsei University, which coincidentally is SFS's neighbor. It's literally on our back door. And to get to Sinchon, we go at the back of our school and walk through the incredible university. And in the late 1800s, early 1900s, missionaries started settling in Korea, and the number of missionary children increased, which created a need for schooling. In 1912, an association was formed to start a school, and Seoul Foreign School was officially born. In September of 1912, SFS opened with an enrollment of 18 children, spanning 7 different grades, with one teacher, Ethel van Wagener. And I really do think there's 2 people who probably stand maybe head and shoulders above everybody else in terms of the impact on Seoul Foreign School, and Ethel van Wagener is clearly one of them. She is the starting point. Those 18 children that she was inspiring. Miss van Wagener was a passionate educator who moved to Korea with the sole purpose of educating the missionary children of Seoul Foreign School. Interestingly, she later married Horace H. Underwood, the son of Horace G. Underwood, and became Ethel Van Wagener Underwood, which is quite a mouthful. Miss Van Wagener Underwood was not only a wonderful educator, she also dedicated her life to women organizations in Korea. During the final years of Japan's colonial rule of that land, she worked to bring the issue of comfort women to the attention of the US officials, and she was often seen outside of Seoul Station helping young girls coming from the countryside to find a living in the big city of Seoul and saving them from being trafficked or abused. In 1948, she founded Ethel's Village, an organization that still exists today and works to provide education to young girls and women in Korea. And I remember reading that for the first time. And it just brought me back to the notion of somebody having that sense of purpose, having that sense of mission to go out there in what is effectively a foreign land and do this sort of incredible work. That's the sort of thing that inspires people to connect and is hopefully there's a lineage between what was happening there and what we're doing today. Tragically, she was shot and killed in her home in 1949 in the midst of the political turmoil in Korea, early in the history of the Republic of this incredible country. But let's get back to SFS. While still small with humble resources, enrollment slowly grew up until World War II. And on this slide, you can see the whole school body in 1925 at Seoul Foreign School. There they are. And it's important I say that that's Seoul Foreign School, because one of the things I say now is that when we talk about the history of the school is not the buildings, it's not the various different places that its campus has been in. It's actually the students. Seoul Foreign School are the 1,600 students we've got today. And this was Seoul Foreign School in 1925. And at the time, the school owned a very small property called Morris Hall, just past Iwa Girls High School, toward the Seoul Law Court compound in Cheongdong. By the time we moved to Morris Hall in 1924, SFS had already known 5 locations in 12 years, but the school would remain in Morris Hall until 1941. Although by the end of 1940, the student body was reduced to 11 students, thanks to the generosity of the remaining community who had volunteered to teach the students part-time. One such student was Richard Underwood, son of Ethel Van Wagener Underwood, but more of him later. We managed to stay open until the 8th of December 1941. And of course, we all know that what was happening at that time, it was the Second World War. We shut down the school completely and evacuate all remaining foreigners. Post-war, the American Army was allowed back in the country before missionaries, so the Army opened a school on the military base in Yongsan. For a few years, SFS shared a school with them until 1950, when the SFS Association was reactivated and we reclaimed our independence. The Korean War would unfortunately once more force SFS to suspend its operations. After the war, things slowly started to settle for SFS and enrollment grew. We were back to Morris Hall, and by then the campus had become too small for the 160 students enrolled in 57 and 58. SFS was a poor school with lots of needs. And Yonsei University, now I'm sure many of you have been to Yonsei University, and it pretty much looks like that to this day. And we have a very common history and actually values as well. And they were kind enough to provide a building on their premises, for which we will always be grateful. That leaves us in the year 1957, where the association made a decision that would change the face of SFS, the purchase of a small plot of land in Yeonnidong. There it is. And just so you know, this is the plot of land, and this is a graveyard, and I think that's why we got it so cheap. But it's on Ansan Mountain, and it's one of the special things about the campus that it is on Ansan Mountain. We've got 26 acres, and we're set in this incredible, on the mountain, incredible trees, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful environment for our students to be in. And so that decision was so instrumental in being part of the Seoul Foreign, the modern Seoul Foreign School's history. So situated in an undeveloped part of Seoul, the land was adjacent to the mountain and was surrounded by a public cemetery which the city wished to eliminate. In October 1962, after extended negotiations, the 25 acres of cemetery land were purchased for $44,000 and the 2,400 graves carefully moved. This land purchase has proved to be of crucial importance in the development of Seoul Foreign School, providing room for an explosive expansion that could not have been foreseen in 1962. And there's really only one reason for that expansion, and that is because of the vision of this man. This is Richard F. Underwood. And I do have to say, I absolutely love this picture. It really does bring me back. It's such a historical picture, brings me almost back to the time. And he's standing on the car there, and it's just a shot of a leader. And I cannot overestimate the impact that Richard Underwood has had on this school. He was the son of the first SFS teacher, alum of the school, a visionary who dedicated his life to SFS and non-profit education. Dick Underwood is credited for making SFS the beacon of educational excellence it is today. Under his leadership, the school expanded from a missionary school to an educational international powerhouse, with many innovations through the years in terms of curriculum, extracurricular programs, and teaching practices. And I think 5 or 6 years ago, I had the incredible honor of meeting Dick. He came to visit Seoul and the Seoul Foreign School. And there were still members of staff who were part of the community, who very much were part of his legacy, were there when he was here. And it was incredible. The conversation I had with Dick Underwood, it was inspiring. I mean, he was in his early 90s at the time, but oh my gosh, he really did have such a deep understanding, not just of education in that time, but education going on right now. I'm obsessed with teaching and learning. It's what drives me about how do we create the best classroom environments for our students. But he was with me on he knew everything I was talking about. And I could absolutely see why he was such a pivotal, inspirational leader. And you know, he led that school. When he started taking over, I don't think he was even a teacher, went back, trained, and then took on the school. And because of some key decisions that he made, he transformed it from a missionary school into this incredible international community, making decisions like being an international baccalaureate school. In the 1980s, nobody was in an international baccalaureate school. There's a few bits and pieces. He made that decision, and that was transformational. And now we're a completely I/B school, and it was decisions like that that made the difference. Making decisions about the buildings of the school that at the time people felt, way too big for what our needs were. But it was incredible. When I joined the school in 2014, the discussion was we had too many children to fit in one of the buildings that he had created, which initially they thought, how are they going to fill this for 250 high school students? They're never going to fill it. And then by that stage, we had 500. So that's the sort of visionary guy that Richard Underwood was. Let's just take a look at, this is effectively Ansan Mountain, and that is SFS as it was in 1967. And you can see it's a very, very different place now. If any of you have been to Yeongdong, it looks completely different now. But I'll show you a picture a little bit later about how the campus looks from a similar view. But that was a starting point of the campus of SFS on Ansan Mountain. This is where Seoul Foreign School is because it's in the northwest of the city. It's interesting to me at least, is that actually a lot of the expat community live quite a way away from that, the kind of Itaewon area, and whereas you know, we're still a little bit ahead of that. And that's a real strength and a real weakness, because it means that a lot of our students have to travel long distances. We have 25 buses that wheel our students, about 2/3 of our students, to come and see us every day. But the upside of it is we're in this incredible location with this space that no other international school has got. And it's something that we're very, very grateful for. Right, this is the 1960s. You can tell it's the 1960s. It's those flares, isn't it? That people that come from that generation. I'm looking at two guys over there that would probably wear flares that you could fit whole families underneath their flares. But as you see, I mean, and the buses, they've changed a little bit. We're sort of a little bit reminiscent, because these buses were so distinct. But a number of years ago, all school buses had to be painted yellow. So all our 25 buses are yellow painted. I'd love it if we could go back to those red, white, and blue ones. And that is SFS today. And as you can see, we've got some incredible facilities here. The soccer pitch, it's hard for me to say soccer, it's football really. Soccer pitch in the middle there is really at the heart of the school. But we've got incredible, this building here, and this is one of the great gifts that was given to me, was to be part of putting together the new high school. The new high school used to sit just along here, and then we built this amazing campus, high school campus here. And again, if any of you do want to visit, I'm going to take you in here and see this incredible learning environment. It was well, 2 years planning for it in terms of getting ready, and then 2 years to build it. And my office is just here, so I literally got to see it digging a hole in the ground up to be this incredible building. So that was a great honour. We've got all sorts of things. We've got our gyms and our swimming pools, our elementary school. One of the things that's so special about SFS is that we have a British school as well as part of our community. So we've got a British school that runs here. And over here is all of the administrative areas as well. Our middle school is just part there. But it really is a beautiful, beautiful open campus. Our students, I think, I hope feel that they're very lucky to be part of that. Here's a picture of that new high school. It really is quite interesting design. It was designed by some US architects, and say if I got the opportunity to show you around, you'd see this. It's a building which is filled with incredible light, and set up for the very best of modern educational teaching. So I'm going to show you again. That's the history of Seoul Foreign School in one little. There you go. Morris Hall. Here's just one final photo that I wanted to show you. What's incredible? Well, I think it's incredible anyway. There's only been 4 actual heads of school. Here's Dick Underwood. I think Dick was head for 31 years, which is incredible in itself. And then he was succeeded by Dr. Harlan Liso, who was head of school for 17 years. Dr. John Engstrom took over, and he was head of school for 5 years. And then they got a stand-in for me. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm not there. But what I will say is I'm slightly intimidated because I've been here 11 years. The average, I don't know if you know, well, you won't know this, but the average tenure for a head of school in the international community is 3.5 years. Right? And I've been here over 10, and I'm still only number 3 in this lineup. Right. So I'm going to go another 7 before I get to harness it. But what it shows, I think that's it's a really important part of the history is that because we have people with 30, 17 years and so on, 30 years, it means that the school has been able to develop in a kind of really, really steady, consistent way. So there's many international schools that struggle to keep that momentum going because of that leadership. And we're talking about people who've made a real difference to SFS. I will just say though that this is something that I say quite a bit, and this is more of an educational point. Is the truth is, and students, I hope you don't want me saying this, but truth is, every single school in the world is made up of special children. Seoul Foreign School is no different than any other school than that. They're all children of people who want the very best for their kids. The most important thing that we've got is that we make sure that we get the best teachers to teach them, to inspire them, to guide them, and to love them, and sometimes to scold them as well, because it's nurturing them that is the most important thing. And if we get the best teachers, then we have the best education. As much as I'm proud of all the campus and all the things we've done, the most important thing is that you get the best teachers, because you've all been to school and you've all got teachers you thought were great and those you thought were a real drag. And it's the ones that inspire you that make the difference. And that's what we try and do. We try and make sure that we recruit and retain the very, very best teachers we can. Okay. I'm going to now hopefully show you a video. I know this is where, now I will say to you, you need to know that I've got a special gift. And my special gift is I'm able to break down technology wherever I go. So if this doesn't work, it's not the Royal Asiatic Society of Korea's fault. It's me. I've got a special aura. Okay, so I'm gonna presumably click here. Okay, let's find out. Oh, something is definitely happening, and I'm hoping you're gonna get.
You're good students. All right, everybody call this number right now.
I came to Korea in 19.
Okay. I'm trying to pause it. Okay. Before, I just wanted to start by saying that the person who is going to speak is the main speaker on this video, somebody called Edie Moon. Edie Moon has been part of the Seoul Foreign School where she was a student. She was a student there in the 60s, and then she came back, and and she'll talk about this in the video. But she left us about a year ago, and her last role, she had many roles in the school. Her last role was to be the school director of all our plays, and anybody who went to one of her plays would have been absolutely bowled over with the quality of theatre that she put on. About 8 years ago, I went to a theatre, and the performance was The Crucible by Arthur Miller. And when I found out that she was putting on The Crucible by Arthur Miller, I thought, you have got to be joking, Edie. You know, these are students, okay? They're 17 and 18. How are you going to do The Crucible by Arthur Miller? And I'll say to you now, it was one of the best evenings in the theatre I've ever had. Never mind in the high school, but one of the best nights I've ever had. The intensity with which the children were able to bring to that performance, and that was just one example. There were so many more that she brought to the community, and it was people like her that have really helped inspire the children over the years. And this video is a little bit about which hopefully gives you some sort of flavour, way better than I could ever do, some sort of flavour as to kind of that parallel between Seoul Foreign School and maybe the last 100 years as Korea has opened up to the world. So hopefully I haven't spoiled things by stopping it, and we are going to get some action.
I came to Korea in 1961 as a toddler with my baby brother and my parents, who were coming to work with the Salvation Army. The year that we came was about 7 years or so after the Korean War, which seems like a very long time until you think about the impact of the Korean War on a country that was now torn in two by a demilitarized zone. The Salvation Army had been in Korea since
1908, but nothing could prepare my parents for what they experienced coming on as such young people for 5 years of service at a time. I spent my early childhood days with a fully Korean neighborhood of kids. Our world was a dirt alley and kimchi pots that remain in Cheongdam today if you care to go see them. It was there that I learned to speak what I call today gutter Korean, and it was there that I found happiness. As the story goes, when I entered SFS as a kindergarten student, I was sent back home because I didn't know enough English. By the time I joined SFS, the school already had a long history, over 50 years. It all began in the fall of 1912. Miss Ethel Van Wagner, who was the first and only hired teacher at the time. Miss Van Wagner later married Horace Underwood and became the mother of Richard Underwood, who was SFS's first head of school. For a long time, SFS was the only school in town for foreigners. Between the time of 1912 and 1923, it moved 5 times, and then it moved to Morris Hall from 1923 to 1957. It was located in Cheongdam, in a neighborhood where lots of missionaries and other foreigners lived. Mostly a school for missionaries, SFS was a poor school. Teachers who taught there saw it as a calling from God. Very early on, SFS provided extracurricular activities for the students. Even all the way back to the 1920s, SFS had a girls' and a boys' basketball team, baseball, and even a cheerleading squad. And at the time, SFS's biggest competitor was none other than Seoul Foreign School. As enrollment slowly but steadily increased, a new location was found in 1959 on a hillside way out in the country, past Yonsei University. This became the home that we know today at SFS. When I first started attending Seoul Foreign School, it was a much smaller school than it is today, and it was largely a missionary population. We went to school together from kindergarten through high school, so we knew each other very well for the most part. And it was family. My earliest memories of school were Camp Mount Pines at KCCG, Taechon Beach, the Seoul Union Club, the school carnival, watching sports, and on occasion, seeing a play directed by Mrs. Rona Robb. When I graduated, I never expected to return to Korea. The headmaster of SFS, Mr. Dick Underwood, called me back to be a teacher, and I'm glad he did. When I returned in 1983 to Korea, there had been a political coup, and Korea was heading towards hosting the Olympic Games in 1988 that would lead Korea to what some people called opening up to the world. The growth we saw in this country after that time was daunting. The modernization, the architecture, the economic surge. A major part of this was the influence of Korean art, film, and music. Once K-pop and K-drama broke onto the world scene and cultural landscape, there was no turning back. Over my years here, I've seen dramatic change in every aspect of life, but at the same time, I love that some things will never change. When I came to SFS in 1983 to be a teacher, I had the privilege of living in what they called the singles building, and my neighbor was Jack Moon, and that is where our story began.
I came to SFS to teach in 1979, and I thought I'd be here for a few years, but then Edie showed up. And we got married within a year, and later on had 2 wonderful daughters. We found the SFS community a wonderful place and thought, why not raise the children here? In the years at Seoul Foreign, I taught earth science, physical science, biology, and even photography. And Edie, well, she taught English, composition, speech, and yes, theater. After 3 years of repatriation from 2004 to 2007, we returned to SFS in new roles. Edie as the school-wide theater director and me as the activities director. That was 17 years ago, and we've had the privilege of seeing SFS in Korea grow during those years. The diversity of the student body, the building of the expansive facilities, the full establishment of the IB program K through 12, celebrating the 100th anniversary of the school, and the commitment to Korean community service have all been such highlights of this time. One aspect of SFS that has not changed is our mission statement, which reads, "Centered in Christ." And as we describe it, it is a Christian school for everyone. One of the great privileges of working here has been having the opportunity to share our faith with students and support them in the development of their own.
SFS has lived through a turbulent time in Korean history. Closed during World War II and the Korean War, SFS lived through it all, even the riots that occurred as Korea transitioned into a democracy. The history of SFS and Korea are deeply intertwined. Both have seen so much and experienced so much in the last 110 years, and both are ready to face the next 110 years together.
Welcome to the next chapter.
Okay. No. Okay, I'm stepping away, stepping away. Nothing to do with me, nothing to see here. Yeah, there you go. Okay, well, look, that brings it an end to my lecture. I think our students wanted to come forward and maybe take over a little bit, because obviously they always get their own way in again. So perhaps we can invite our 4 students to come and maybe take over for the last part of our presentation.